approval. He's very anxious to break ground, judging by the frequency of his calls for updates on my progress. Luke had seen his share of architectural renderings over the years, but he had to admit that he lacked the vision to translate them into brick-and-mortar towns. Still, he peered over his brother's shoulder, prepared to feign the proper enthusiasm. What he saw, though, as he leafed through the pages, left him dumbstruck. "You designed this? From scratch? A whole community, from houses to Main Street to schools, a library and even a church? You just looked over a few acres of vacant land and imagined all this?" Matthew's grin spread as he nodded. "Pretty awesome, if I do say so myself. I guess all that time you spent playing with Lego as a kid wasn't wasted after all. Has Uncle Mick seen it? Of course. He's in here pestering me every other day. I gather when he isn't calling me, the developer's calling Uncle Mick to nudge things along. And? Uncle Mick says it's as good as anything he's ever done," Matthew said, looking pleased. "Which means it's 1,000 times better," Luke concluded. "He's not going to say so on your first big job and risk your having a swelled head and demanding a bigger salary." Matthew shrugged off the compliment. Things can always be better. Uncle Mick has even talked to me about things he would have done differently if he had Chesapeake Shores to design over again. Luke regarded him with surprise. "Really? Like what?" He admits that Uncle Thomas was right about wanting the community to be built in an environmentally friendly way. He says he wouldn't have given him such a tough time about it. Luke laughed. "No, he'd just give him a tough time on general principle, the same as he does with Dad." "More than likely," Matthew agreed. "So, what brings you by here at the end of the day?" "I was hoping you'd have time for a drink." "Sure. Mind if Layla tags along? I was going to meet her for dinner in an hour. You can join us." "That'll work. There are some things I'd like to run by her anyway." His brother regarded him suspiciously. "Just what do you and my wife have to talk about?" "Maybe we're conspiring to throw a surprise party for your birthday," Luke teased, knowing how much his brother abhorred the whole concept of surprise parties, even though he determinedly pulled off his own almost surprise wedding in Ireland, keeping Layla mostly in the dark until his Christmas Eve proposal. "My birthday was just a couple of months ago, and neither of you is that much of a long-range planner," Matthew retorted. "Try again." "How about I explain it over drinks?" Luke countered. "Fine. Brady's okay?" "Actually, I have someplace else in mind. I need to stop by Dad's office first. Why don't I meet you on Shore Road in front of Panini Bistro in 20 minutes? "Suits me," Matthew said. "I'll call Layla and let her know. If I get there first, I'll grab a table." "Actually, don't do that," Luke said. "Wait for me in front, okay? Tell Layla to grab a table, though, if she gets there before we're back." "Back?" Matthew gave him an odd look. "Curiouser and curiouser. Trust me, okay?" "Always," Matthew said at once. "See you in a few minutes." Luke gave him a wave, then headed for his father's office. He was hoping to find his father gone for the day and perhaps only his sister still there. Susie might give him grief over his request, but she was less likely to pull rank and demand answers. Even better, he found the real estate management company run by his father to be closed for the day. Using the key he had for the occasions when he helped out showing properties, he went in, plucked a key off the board for the properties they owned or managed, and closed back up. He beat Matthew to their appointed meeting spot by mere seconds. "Where to now, O secretive one?" Matthew inquired. "Not far," Luke said, heading down the block to a large empty space that had been occupied by a French restaurant that had gone belly up, unable to survive during the slower winter months. Personally, he thought it had failed because of the god-awful, uncomfortable chairs that had made the customers squirm through the torturous minutes it took to eat their overpriced food, but what did he know? He led the way inside and flipped on lights, then turned to his older brother. "What do you think?" Matthew looked blank. "Of what? It's an empty space."